Hey kiddos. All right. So we're going to be talking about complex and compound complex sentences today. All right. So remember, simple sentences are consist of just one independent phrase or one independent clause. Okay, clause, not phrase. One independent clause. Compound sentences are comprised of two independent clauses that are linked with either a coordinating conjunction or with a semicolon. Okay. Complex sentences have an independent clause and one or more dependent clauses, right? So we'll have a complete sentence and then we'll have it added on. And this triangle is a dependent or a needy clause, okay? So basically what it'll look like, and this I think explains it even a little bit better, right, is you have an independent clause and a dependent clause, and usually, okay, it begins with a subordinating conjunction or a relative pronoun, right? So these are your subordinating conjunctions, right? And these are your relative pronouns. Remember, those are the ones that are not specific, okay? That which, who, whom, or whose, okay? So if she ever gets the chance, that's a dependent clause. Terry would love to visit the Egyptian pyramids. Okay, so that's my independent clause. So this is a complex sentence, all right? During his trip to Italy, Tony visited the Trevi Fountain. So during his trip to Italy is not a clause, okay? It is just a prepositional, or it's not a prepositional, it's a gerund phrase, okay? So this counts as one clause, right? This is a phrase. This is the clause, all right? Which is in Rome, which is my relative pronoun, okay? And is in. So remember, this deals with like, does it have a subject and a verb, right? Does it have a subject and a predicate, right? She is my subject, gets is my my verb, right? Same here, right? Tony's my subject, visited is what he did. Which is a subject, right? It's because it's a relative pronoun. Okay, is my verb, right? So that'd be my predicate. So we know that this is these are both clauses because they include a subject and a predicate, right? This is a phrase because it only includes a subject, right? Compound complex sentences have two or more independent clauses, right? So you're going to have usually something like this, where it's joined with that coordinating conjunction with a comma. Okay, she stopped at the bank, then she went to the gym. Those are two complete sentences, right? But it has another one or more dependent clauses, right? After Samantha left work. So again, after, okay, is our subordinating conjunction, all right? So this is our phrase, right? So Samantha is my subject, left is my predicate, okay? And sometimes it can interrupt, right? Orcas that are kept in captivity often have bent dorsal fins. You would think just looking at this that it's a simple sentence because it doesn't have, so this is a complex sentence. You would think that this was a simple sentence just because there's no commas or anything like that, but we have that are kept in captivity. This has messed me up a couple of times when I was practicing on IXL, that this makes it a complex sentence, right? Because we have orcas often have bent dorsal fins, okay? And then that are kept in captivity is that dependent clause that gets stuck in there, okay? So we're going to practice some of these together, and then we'll kind of go from there, okay? So remember, your subordinating conjunctions, after, although, as, because, if, since, unless, until, when, and while. These are the most common ones. There's lots of other ones as well, but these are the ones that you're going to see kind of the most often. So I would even write these down so that you know you have them, okay? It'll make your life a little, like I said, it'll just make your life a little bit easier, okay? So I made my little list, okay, of my subordinating conjunctions and my relative pronouns. So there's no shame in doing that. It's a good idea to make your life a little bit easier. And hopefully you won't mess up as many times as I did when I was learning this, right? Because I'm learning this along with you guys. I did not receive formal grammar instruction when I was a kid. So this is all relatively new to me too. So, we're kind of figuring it out together, all right? So as Ezra sat down on the rickety old chair, it abruptly collapsed beneath him, right? So it abruptly collapsed beneath him is my independent clause, okay? So I know that I have an independent clause. Now I have to decide, do I have a dependent clause or do I have another independent clause, or is this some sort of phrase? Okay. As Ezra sat down on the rickety old chair. So as is a subordinating conjunction, as we can see right here. Okay. We have a subject, Ezra. Okay. And then sat is the verb, right? So we have a subject and a predicate. So we know that this is a dependent clause. All right. So this would make this a complex sentence. The production of a single pound of honey requires nectar from approximately 2 million flowers. All right. So production of a single pound of honey is my complete subject. Okay. It requires nectar from approximately 2 million flowers is my predicate. There doesn't seem to be any subordinating conjunctions or relative pronouns. So I don't think I have a dependent clause. So this is a simple sentence. Lorraine Hansberry wrote the widely acclaimed 1959 Broadway play A Raisin in the Sun, and her accomplishment opened the door for other African-American playwrights. So I've got my comma and, right? So I know that this is most likely a compound sentence. Lorraine Hansberry wrote the widely acclaimed 1959 Broadway play A Raisin in the Sun. Her accomplishment opened the door for many other African playwrights. So this is a compound sentence. The weather forecast had predicted severe thunderstorms, but the dark, heavy thunderclouds never materialized. Okay, once again, we've got comma but, so this is a comma plus a coordinating conjunction, so this is probably a compound sentence. The weather forecast had predicted severe thunderstorms, complete sentence. The dark, heavy thunderclouds never materialized, complete sentence. So I have a compound sentence. If we can't find an inexpensive hotel for the 4th of July weekend, we can always stay with my parents, all right? We can always stay with my parents is a complete sentence, right? So we have an independent or clause. If we can't find an inexpensive hotel for the 4th of July weekend. So if is another one of those subordinating conjunctions. So this is a dependent clause, right? We, and then can't find is my verb. So we is my subject, can't find is my predicate. So we have a clause instead of a phrase. So this is a complex. After a parrotfish eats algae-covered coral, the coral travels through the fish's digestive system. Then it is deposited in the reef as white coral sand. All right, so I've got comma and. So again, this is probably a compound sentence. All right. The coral travels through the fish's digestive system. Complete sentence. Then it is deposited in the reef as white coral sand. Complete sentence. Now I have to decide, is it compound or is it compound complex? Because I have this here that I have to decide what it is. All right. After a parrotfish eats algae-covered coral. So after is a subordinating conjunction. Okay. Parrotfish is my subject. Eats algae-covered coral is my predicate. That means that this is a clause and not a phrase. And since it's a clause, this means that it is a dependent clause. So I have a compound complex sentence. Annual plants survive only one season and must be replaced each year, but perennials return each year with new flowers and foliage, okay? So, comma, but, this is most likely a compound sentence, but I have to decide if it's compound, if it's just compound or if it's compound complex. All right, annual plants survive only one season and must be replaced each year is one sentence. Perennials return each year with new flowers and foliage is one sentence. So this is just a compound sentence, even though we have an and in the middle there. Leonardo da Vinci, who was a renowned painter and sculptor, was also an inventor and scientist, okay? So you might think that this is a simple sentence, right? Because this could possibly just be in a positive phrase. But the issue here is that we have who, which is one of those relative pronouns, okay? So Leonardo da Vinci was also an inventor and scientist is a complete sentence, okay? Who is my subject? Was is my predicate. So who was, that means this is a complex sentence because I have a complete sentence with Leonardo da Vinci was also an inventor and scientist, and I have who was a renowned painter and sculptor is my dependent clause. So this is a complex sentence. The vibrant trumpet-shaped blooms of the trumpet vine make it ideal for attracting hummingbirds, okay? I've got a subject, okay? I have a predicate. This is a simple sentence. I don't have any subordinating conjunctions or relative pronouns, okay? So it's simple. Should I order the lasagna dish that Becky recommended, or should I sample several food items from the buffet? Okay. We have comma or, so this is most likely a compound sentence. Should I order the lasagna dish that Becky recommended? Should I sample several food items from the buffet? So we have two complete sentences. So again, this is probably compound, but what tripped me up before with something similar is this part, okay? That Becky recommended. So we have a relative pronoun, that. So should I order the lasagna dish, or should I sample several food items from the buffet, are two complete sentences. And then this is a dependent phrase, clause, not phrase, clause, right? That back, so we have a subject and we have a predicate. She recommended, and our relative pronoun. So this is actually a compound complex sentence. Okay, because like, look, if I had just put compound, so again, this is compound complex, but I'm going to get it wrong on purpose. I say it's just compound. It's wrong. It's compound complex because, like I said, should I order the lasagna dish? Dependent clause. Should I sample several items from the food buffet or from the buffet? Dependent clause. That Becky recommended. Dependent clause. Okay, independent, independent, dependent. Bruce always approaches difficult tasks enthusiastically, and he frequently motivates others with his energy and fervor. Bruce always approaches difficult, so we have comma and, so it's probably compound, but again, we need to make sure. Bruce always approaches difficult tasks enthusiastically, complete sentence. He frequently motivates others with his energy and fervor, okay? And we have, again, a complete sentence. This is just compound. Okay. So we'll do one more. Students are unhappy with the new dress code requirements. Complete sentence. Comma and, probably a compound sentence. They will be discussing their grievances at the next school board meeting. Okay. Once again, just another independent clause. So we have a compound sentence. Nobel Peace Prize winner Nelson Mandela campaigned for social equality in South Africa and later became the country's first democratically elected Black president. Okay. This is just a simple sentence. Okay. Because I'm pretty sure because we don't have any relative pronouns. We don't have any subordinating conjunctions, right? We don't have comma and, so we know that it's not a compound sentence. So I'm assuming this is just simple.